I really, really like the ModRetro Chromatic. Hello my friends, my name is Jake. Welcome to Returning Retro. Today, we're going to talk about some retro tech of one of my favorite flavors, retro gaming to be specific. Now, I enjoy vintage gaming. I'll grab my actual Super Nintendo with my actual Super Nintendo controller and my actual Super Nintendo cartridge. Retro gaming is when you use new things to play old stuff. So the retro gaming handhelds that are becoming very common now, where you'll put your game files on it and you can play. That's retro gaming. You're playing an older thing with a new thing. I really like this emergence that we have of kind of a mix of both, where you're having something new that can play something old in its original form as well. Case in point, the ModRetro Chromatic, the Analogue Pocket, a number of other ones that do it with the actual consoles, where you have something new that can play something old, the actual old cartridges themselves. So let's jump over to the tabletop. I'm going to show you a little bit more about Chromatic, what I'm talking about, why I'm so fired up here, and I think you'll understand better why I'm so excited. And there it is, my friends. Oh, it just looks so good. I really like the box. I have to admit, it's grown on me a lot. The more I look at it, the more I like it. But this is a first edition version that I have here. It's not the one that I've been playing or the one that I had on my trip that I wrote the Crackberry article about. I'll put a link to that up there for those of you that haven't seen it yet. But I thought it might be kind of fun to just kind of show you what it's like in the box. So you have Chromatic sitting right there. It's pretty simple. We'll set that over here for a moment. And then every Chromatic comes with brand new AA batteries, as well as a Tetris cartridge, the ModRetro published version. So kind of nice. Not only are batteries included, but a game is included as well. So what is Chromatic? Chromatic is a new production metal Game Boy Color, and then some. So let's do a quick little tour. You've got the link cable port there on that side, if you can kind of see that there. You've got dual lanyard spots, one on each side. Up across the top here, you've got your power button over here on this side. You've got what I think might be some kind of an infrared array right there. I'll double check that and let you guys know. Over here on this side, you've got your volume knob, as well as the menu button. More about that later. Then down at the bottom, you have a single firing speaker, and it gets loud. Headphone jack, and then your USB-C port. Around the back, I can show you here, you have the battery tray. Like I mentioned before, 3 AA's, or you can get a battery pack as well if you don't want to use the AA's. I mean, rechargeable AA's would work as well, but if you want a ModRetro battery pack, you can get those as well if they're ever in stock on their website. They are sold out pretty much as quickly as they can get in. Now there are also 2 different versions of Chromatic. This is the one that you guys might recognize from some of my other content. You've got the Sapphire version here. Give you guys some angles on that. And then you've got the Gorilla Glass version here. Don't mind all the scratches. I left the little factory packaging protector on it. So you can kind of see, you know, some subtle differences in the 2 different versions. This first edition one is a special GameStop collaboration, which I honestly just kind of like the color of it. We have to do some size comparisons. So here, I'll show you, let's go ahead and take the camera off there. A little side by side of the Game Boy Color and the Chromatic. Going around the back there, you can kind of see. Love that see-through transparent. And then, why not? Let's go back in time a little bit more. Next to the original Game Boy DMG, I think that they call it. Now, you are probably all aware that there is a very popular wave of what I call emulation handhelds. And I think that a lot of people enjoy them. I, for one, like ones that take cartridges for a number of different reasons, but this right here is the RG35XX, and I know that this is a very common one. Yeah, you can kind of see it's a little bit smaller. How could I forget? So not only can you play older games, so I've got one here, Armorines. Not sure if any of you guys are familiar with it. I actually really enjoyed this growing up, but all of the old Game Boy and Game Boy Color games will work, but there are actually, ModRetro and others, are publishing new Game Boy games. I mean, it blows my mind that in 2026, we've got Wicked Plague, love it. Dragonyhm, love it. Chantey or Chantey, depending on the mood you're in. I actually reached out to the developer to ask how you pronounce that, and he said, however you want. And then one that I haven't even opened yet here, Buck and the Cursed Cartridge. These are all games that have come out in the last year or so, and this, my friends, is how I know that it is not just nostalgia that makes me and so many others enjoy 8-bit gaming so much. There's something special. There's just something to these. So I just wanted to make a point of that. Not to mention the experience, you know, on the gaming, the emulation handhelds here. You know, you get done, you do your save state, you go to the next file, boom, you're there. As opposed to the process of, you know what? Okay, I'm kind of tired of fighting these bugs. You know what I need? I need some Tetris. So you stop, you make the decision, turn it off, take out the cartridge, you hear the sound, you feel the friction, you grab the next thing you want to do, put it in there. It's just so satisfying to insert the cartridge, turn it on, and there you are, going on to the next thing. There's just something about that process. To my younger friends, it's just, I really recommend you try it. It creates a completely different gaming experience. Now, something that I wanted to show you really quickly, my friends, is some of the cool quality of life improvements that the Chromatic has implemented. I can kind of show you here with one of my favorite Game Boy games, Chantey. So first and foremost, this speaker gets loud. So this is one of the funnest games that I've played in a long, long time. But let me show you a little bit about what I'm talking about here in the system menu option. So I'm going to turn it down a little bit so you guys can kind of hear me a little bit better. So you can see here, you can adjust the brightness. Coming across the top, you have all these different display. Oh, by the way, streaming, forgot to mention, you can actually plug the USB-C into a computer and stream. You can record your gameplay. Now, this is kind of cool. On the controls, you can allow all directions, which is how I have it turned on, especially for a game like Chantey, where directional movement is really important, but you can actually have it ignore diagonals if you want to. It tells you some of the shortcuts so that you can change things on the fly. This right here is something that I think is so cool. I'm actually going to zoom in a little bit here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. You can change the color palette on some games, not every game, but some games do allow you to change the color palette. So let's say, for example, I don't really want the Game Boy Color experience. I want to go to the DMG1 Game Boy experience. Oh yeah, look at that. Don't like that one? That's fine. Let's try the second version. Okay, there we go. Now we're just going right back in time, my friends. I just cannot tell you how cool this is. You can update the firmware. They're constantly pushing out updates to make it a better experience, not just for the system, but also for the cartridges themselves as well. So maybe you're thinking to yourself, hey, I already have a Game Boy. Can I play some of these new production Game Boy games? Well, let's check it out. How cool is that? Playing a brand new game on decades old hardware. I just love it so much. So I've seen a number of different catchphrases around Chromatic, or things that people have said, the best version of the Game Boy ever, or play your games the way they deserve to be played. And honestly, a couple of weeks in with this thing, I kind of have to agree with it. The feel of the device is wonderful. Despite it being made out of metal, I believe it's a magnesium aluminum alloy, it doesn't feel heavy, it feels cool to the touch, and it just feels rock solid. The responsiveness of the controls are great, and the fact that it uses FPGA emulation as opposed to some of the other types is it feels as true to the original experience as I have ever experienced. So whether you have your classic games that you love so much, whether you're wanting to try out the new games that are being published, and by the way, I did ask them if we have more forthcoming, and they said, you better believe we have more Chromatic games. I love what ModRetro is doing, taking something old, making it new again, but still bringing full circle the entire experience, being able to play the older cartridges as well as publishing new cartridges, because I've said it several times, I do not think we should have moved on from 8 through 64-bit gaming. It's not just a nostalgia thing, guys. I am really excited to be covering some of these retro gaming options that we have out there. I feel like it is one of the best types of intentional technology that we have today. So stick around for more. For those of you that don't know, I did go ahead and start all of the other socials. I have an Instagram, I have a TikTok. I'm gonna be doing some shorts. So if you wanna see what old Retro Jake is up to, if you wanna follow along with your other retroverts, please go check the socials. Links are in the description. Stick around, guys. More to come.